now turn our focus to a developing story on our eastern border that has sent alarm bells ringing through India's national security establishment. Recent arrests by India's National Investigation Agency have brought attention to a serious security matter in the northeast region. The NIA has detained an American citizen, Matthew VanDyke, and 6 Ukrainian nationals, and they're all accused of using India as a transit route to enter Myanmar illegally and provide training in drone warfare to ethnic armed groups there. Some of these groups are believed to have links to banned insurgent outfits operating inside India. And the group entered India on valid tourist visas. They traveled to restricted areas in Mizoram without the required permits, crossed the border into Myanmar, and allegedly conducted or prepared for training sessions. Drones and related equipment are said to have been imported from Europe through this route. The NIA has booked them under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act for terror conspiracy, abetment, and illegal entry. And the probe is now looking into a wider network, including drone supply chains and possible connections to anti-India activities. Take a look at this. Matthew VanDyke. He's a well-known figure with a background in conflict zones. There's a pattern at play. He describes himself as a freedom fighter. His CV might say he's a filmmaker, a prisoner of war, and a founder of private military training group called Sons of Liberty International. He has fought alongside rebels in Libya, been held as a prisoner of war, and been active in Syria, Iraq, and Ukraine. Supporters see him as an activist against groups like ISIS, but critics label him a mercenary. The NIA alleges he played a key role in this drone training network via the India-Myanmar border. And this case raises broader concerns about foreign involvement in Myanmar's ongoing conflict. The United States views Myanmar as important in the Indo-Pacific to counter China's influence, including its Belt and Road Initiative and projects, and growing defense ties with Russia. Myanmar has valuable rare earth minerals, not to forget, needed for electric vehicles, magnets, defense equipment, you name it. The US has shown interest in alternative supply chains and has framed some support for anti-junta forces as backing for democracy and humanitarian causes. The arrests also touch on activity among Christian majority ethnic groups like the Chin, which connect to Mizoram communities, reviving old claims like the one by ousted Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina about external plots in the tri-border area. So for India, the bigger worry is whether the Northeast is becoming a spillover zone for proxy conflicts. Foreign mercenaries using Indian territory as a transit point could exploit shared ethnic ties and the porous borders. Advanced drones and tactics might strengthen insurgencies, making attacks more lethal and harder to counter. Border vulnerabilities in this region, they remain a long-standing challenge. With us, 2 esteemed panelists and the big questions that we're trying to decode. How were foreign nationals with documented histories in global war zones able to obtain tourist visas and travel into restricted border zones without detection? And if drones are being imported from Europe through India to fuel a foreign conflict, what does this say about the vulnerabilities in our customs and transit monitoring systems? With foreign volunteers and private military trainers entering the fray, is India's northeast at a risk of spillover that could reignite local insurgencies along shared ethnic lines? Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee continues to be with us, former Indian diplomat, and P.K. Mishra, an expert on Northeast, former ADG BSF. Very good evening to you, sir. Ambassador, you know, an American national, Ukrainian fighters, the CV is long, the resume is long. He's using Indian territory to access Myanmar. How serious is this breach diplomatically, first up? Does this cross from a law and order situation and issue into national sovereignty violation? The US is maintaining silence beyond acknowledging the case. We all know how Ukraine is reacting. They've pushed back on these other 6 Ukrainians that have been arrested as well. How should India now, in contrast, respond to this?
Well, Kabir, first of all, as somebody who's been posted as ambassador to Netherlands, it's very interesting that his surname is Van Dyke.
Yeah.
American Dutch origin.
Yeah.
And let's not forget that in the old days, for the relationship between Netherlands and India improved enormously, there were a lot of these people holed up in Netherlands until we were able to break that. Secondly, there's a lot of stuff floating on social media, Kabir,
Yeah.
which people like you who says that this guy this so-called Matthew Aaron guy, which is very, very Dutch, uh, he's American citizen, who facilitated his entry here, who helped to get to the Northeast, who helped him to cross the borders.
Yeah.
He seems to be a CIA agent. And all the conflict zones that he went to, those were conflict zones which were was on the side of the American deep state. First of all, secondly, in Myanmar, he was crossed the border with great speed, back and forth with drone training.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
And
Who
it's so
facilitated
surprising, Ambassador. All of this is happening on a tourist visa.
Yeah.
this visa? Secondly, I know, being from foreign service, like my co-panelist, it's extremely difficult to find blue-eyed, blonde-haired people in this part of India without a visa. Immediately picked on. He doesn't look like you. He looks like a typical Dutch American. How did he manage, even with the headband that he's wearing and his dark glasses, and take away his blonde hair, blue eyes? How did he manage to
Ambassador, are
meet?
you suggesting that there is some possible internal help at play?
Definitely. There must be some internal help, but there must be also some external help if he's a CIA agent.
Yeah.
Program. But I can tell you, somebody like this man, who people have labeled as a agent, background, and all the conflict zones he's been to, he has fought for the American deep state,
Yep.
American patriot. President Trump would say he's a really good guy, he's a strong guy, he's doing a lot of work for us, etc., etc. He may say it tomorrow morning on his what is it called? Truth and Social Harmony post. I have no idea.
You've added harmony on your own, Ambassador. But you see, we've got the Northeastern expert with us on the panel as well. Sir, such actors, are they now actively scouting? And, it seems like the Indian Northeast and Myanmar, the Golden Triangle, seems to be the new theater for all of these kind of activities.
Kabir, we have not learnt lesson from what happened in Manipur. We have to learn a lesson. Who all are playing in Myanmar and what type of external forces are playing. It's not only Manipur border which is volatile.
Yeah.
Manipur is only 10%. I am agreeing with ex-diplomat. It is 90% in Mizoram border, Kabir.
Yeah.
I have served there. I was in that border earlier also. I have seen Mizoram border. Last 2 years in your channel, I am telling the government of India, until and unless we don't have fencing in Myanmar border, 1640 kilometers border, and make deployment of any border guarding force in BOP concept, this will continue. And you see, Mr. Laldoma, our Chief Minister of Mizoram, what a statement he has given. He has told that it is a transit route.
Yep.
Mizoram is a transit route to Myanmar. And I am telling you, this group of Matthew, he is not new in this terrain, in this axis, in this route. He is operating from 2024, Kabir.
And God knows how many other Matthews are making use of this sanctuary route.
And the worst part of it, this group is not of 7. That is Matthew, Petro, Ivan, Marian, James, Victor, and Maxim. They are not the 6-7 persons.
Yeah.
There are 8 more Ukrainians where they are lost, whether they are in Myanmar or they are in Mizoram, they are in Guwahati. In fact, the NIA has to find it out. It's a big group. And look what Laldoma has also told. In 2024, from June to December, 2,000 foreign tourists were there in Mizoram.
So the numbers are dangerous.
It is
ADG
dangerous.
Mishra,
and-
ADG
and-
Mishra, the numbers are
Yeah.
dangerous. The numbers are dangerous.
Yes.
We're talking
Yes.
about drones, and this is a sanctuary
And
route.
I know,
Drones,
I know.
jamming technology, modern tactics.
Jamming-
Okay, great. All of this
Jam-
is going to create instability in Myanmar. But how
Yes,
does this
yes.
hurt the national security, rubric? How does that come into play here?
I will tell you what has happened because, of course, you told that it is coming from Europe and this group is taking and American embassy and Ukraine embassy, they are in knowledge of it. They know this is happening for last so many years. And you see, the border is absolutely open. I repeat, Mizoram Myanmar border is completely open. And these drones which are coming from Europe, it is not. It's not going with this Ukraine and Matthew VanDyke and all. They are training them up for this jamming, ID theory, bomb theory, and assembling of drones and carrying of IDs through the drones. It's not only that they are training of, it's a ethnic rebel group in Myanmar.
Yep.
They are also training our militant groups operating in Mizoram and Manipur. That is PLA.
So you're saying that's the ripple
BRICAD,
effect. And you
NSCN,
spoke about Manipur. We earlier found
Yes.
Starlink in Manipur as well. Rudimentary places
definitely.
that have high-end internet connection, high-end technology. We've seen it time and again. Ambassador,
and Kabir-
I'll come back to you, ADG. I'll come back to you.
Yeah,
Ambassador,
yeah.
Ambassador, this seems to be the new model of engagement, isn't it? Private actors, NGOs, in this case, trainers and a tourist documentary filmmaker, they're becoming instruments of geopolitical influence and then thereafter instability. ADG Mishra says they're also not just training those in Myanmar, they're training those militias here in India as well. And given the US strategic interest in Myanmar, countering China, the rare earth minerals, I mean, there seems to be the new playbook here. And you earlier pointed out that there seems to be some tacit or strategic help that is over here internally as well. How do we deal with this now? One is fencing of the border, which is easier said than done. I agree, it's a long and massive border. But what else,
No.
ma'am? What else diplomatically?
Actually, I completely agree with my co-panelist. The border was earlier fenced because there are deep familiar links, as he would know better than me, between groups in Myanmar and groups in Manipur. Therefore, there was a tacit understanding that up to 15 kilometers on both sides, groups could cross back. Those were in times of peace. Right now, I completely agree with him. We have to fence and we have to strategically and tactically eliminate, physically eliminate such people who are trying to destabilize our northeast, and they are trying to destabilize our northeast while pretending to be destabilizing Myanmar. Their actual strategic target is our northeast, like the manner in which they destabilized our east by bringing out their coup in Bangladesh. So I am very sorry to say that the American strategic reality vis-a-vis India
Yep.
be dialectical. On
Okay.
one hand, about India being a great strategic partner, the main pivot of the West in Indo-Pacific, etc. On the other hand, through mercenaries and CIA agents,
Yeah.
they try to destabilize our northeast, they try to destabilize our east, they try to...
Matthew VanDyke constantly says that he's not a CIA asset, but we all know how the CIA playbook actually works.
100%, look at his face.
Yeah.
He's 100%.
Okay, all right. ADG Mishra, I've completely run out of time here, but it's always a pleasure to have you with us. You know, you give us clear-cut insights into Myanmar, and you're right.
Absolutely.
For the last 2 years, you have been speaking on air, on
Yes,
News9, that
yes,
it's a
in
porous
your
border,
channel.
and that
In your
seems to be
channel,
the
yes.
actual problem, and that is something
Yes.
that the Home Ministry, the defensive
Has to do.
agencies,
They
they
have to
need
do it.
to take
They
care of
have
it,
to
they
do it.
need to tackle it.
They
Hear
have
it from
to
the
do
man who spent the better part
Yeah.
of his life serving in the
Yeah.
Northeast. Many thanks, Ambassador
In
Mukherjee, for
Mizoram.
taking out the time.
Yeah.